Welcome back to Brian Knows Movies. This week we're talking about The Menu. Yes, one of my most anticipated films of this year has finally come out. We have Anya Taylor-Joy, we have Nicholas Hoult, we have Ralph Fiennes, we have John Leguizamo, and the list goes on in this ensemble cast that brings us a movie directed by Mark Mylod. Now, Mylod hasn't been involved with film specifically in about a decade, but he directed a little show you might have heard of called Succession on HBO. So if you love that show, I think you know what you can be expected with this film. There is this superstar chef, Chef Julian, played by Ralph Fiennes, and he has a menu that he of 7 or 8 courses that he gives to a very small group of people. In fact, only 12 people can sit in his restaurant once at a time. They have to be ferried to this island where all the food is grown and the livestock's there. Everything's there on this one island. 12 people, how does he keep his doors open? Well, each ticket is a ridiculous $1,250, and you have to have at least one guest to be able to attend this evening. So basically, based off that price point, you can expect what type of people are going to this. We have movie stars, we have hedge fund managers, basically rich people galore are going to eat this food. We have food critics, of course, as well. Tyler, played by Nicholas Hoult, invites his date Margot, played by Anya Taylor-Joy. Now, Tyler, he is super into the food scene. Margot, not so much. In fact, it's a bit out of her comfort zone, but she goes ahead and goes along with the date. When she gets there, she realizes that this staff is super intense. They really are more like a military unit than they are a kitchen. And Chef Julian seems to be like this pompous, into himself celebrity chef that she just can't get with. She doesn't like the service. She doesn't like the way that she's being treated. She doesn't like the way that her date Tyler is being treated. But Tyler is so into this that she continues to go along with it. The food gets more and more pretentious, which she just rolls her eyes at. She doesn't eat most of it. But then as the courses keep coming, things start to get a little weird. They start to get a little tense. And then eventually they start to get really dangerous. And so she finds herself in this place where the guests are now in danger, in jeopardy, because of this crazy celebrity chef who wants to deliver an experience for his guests that's not just about the food, but the stories and everything else he's trying to set up, even if that means a couple people have to die. So this film is also produced by Adam McKay and by Will Ferrell and a few others who have been in the comedy scene for years and decades, and they know what they're doing. Pair that with Mark Mylod's directing style, and you kind of know what type of film you're getting here. It's very funny, but it's very dark. It's not slapstick. It's situational humor where you realize the irony and the silliness and the absurdity of the way that certain people live their lives. They make fun of Chef's Table on Netflix, and so unabashedly so that it kind of stings, because I love Chef's Table. I think it's one of my favorite shows on Netflix. They really make fun of this whole celebrity chef ambiance around this food and these stories that goes along with pretty food, but it all seems really pretentious and really pompous. I thought that was really interesting that they decided to do that, and they were so bold with that. But also how they take down class a bit too. $1,250 tickets for an experience that it doesn't seem like anybody really is enjoying, but a lot of people are faking like they are. You listen to the food critic, and the food critic just seems like she's just making up stuff. And it's like pointing out that you have these critics who have their interpretations of what somebody else's art is, and based off their interpretation, you can kill somebody's career. And this film critic is known for killing careers. I think that the writing is really, really tight and really well done, and the commentary is really obvious, but it's also playful. It doesn't beat you on top of the head with it. In terms of the directing, this takes place in a pretty small setting. Most of the time they're in the restaurant, so it's very character driven. It's very dialogue driven. I think that the directing of this film was amazing. In terms of performances, Anya Taylor-Joy, she seems like she can do everything. She can do horror, she can do comedy, she can do action, she can do thriller, she can do it all. And she's really showing her range here once again, playing the straight man to all the craziness that's going on around her. She realizes pretty quickly how pretentious everything is, and she seems also to be one of the first ones to realize how dangerous this place is too. So she's basically your eyes and your ears throughout the film. Ralph Fiennes as Chef Julian, he really takes that kind of pompousness on. I don't know if it's because he's able to lean into his English accent or what, but he really plays this character really well. You get to see layers of this character unfold throughout the film in a really interesting way. At first, you think that the guy is just crazy. At the end of the movie, you still think the guy is crazy, but you start to understand how he got there. How did he get to a place to where he was willing to do all of these incredibly bad things to these people during this dinner? His staff is like a military unit. It's like a cult. I don't know how else to say it. It's like a cult, the way that they worship him and the way that they respond to him and the way that they seek his approval, even when he's doing these outlandish things. I think that that was really well done. Speaking of the staff, you see this throughout the whole film. Everybody has something to do. Sometimes you get these huge ensemble casts and certain people don't get their moment. They're just there because of their famous face or a famous actor. But everybody gets something to do in this film, which I think is really hard to do with the time limits of this film. But you've got to know each and one of these characters in some way and relate to them in some way. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Nicholas Hoult here. Why are you so into this? I hope I'm never as into anything as this guy is into Chef Julian's food. Once again, this is a very character-driven and very dialogue-driven film. So there isn't a lot of really any special effects. It's much more about the performances and the actors than it is about what's going on around you. But that being said, this film is very pretty, and it's pretty in a way that's interesting because I go back to Chef's Table. Chef's Table is one of the prettiest TV shows that I've ever seen, from the way that they film their food to they film the process. It's like so methodic and so nuanced and so gorgeous, without a better word. And they film this movie the same way as Chef's Table, but when you take the context of all the craziness that's going on, it doesn't feel great. It doesn't feel beautiful. It feels plastic. It feels phony. It feels pretentious. And it's the same type of techniques that they're using, but that different context really makes this film comment on what's going on in terms of this food culture world and how fake it may be to some people. So what's my rating? See it, stream it, or skip it. I really love the menu. It's obviously a see it. I had a lot of fun with this film. I thought it was funny when it needed to be funny. I thought that the characters were really well written and the performance really executed those characters well. I thought the directing was great. I thought that the story arc was pretty tight. One thing I had issues with was the end. Some of the scenarios don't really make sense why characters don't do more to protect themselves, if you will. I would like to see a little bit more struggle as things continue to progress. Instead of just being scared and sitting on your hands, you would have thought that somebody would have tried something. If I was in that scenario, I would have went 5 times harder at least than what some of these people did. So that was a little bit unbelievable for me, but that's a very small critique. Go see this in the theater. It's a really fun time. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a guy that loves movies. So, if you're going to see The Menu, let me know what you think about the film in the comment section below. What do you think about this food culture that's taken the world by storm? Even those who can't really participate in it because you have $1,250 price tags to it, but are obsessing over it, like Nicholas Hoult's character, Tyler. What do you think about all this? Is this movie just here for laughs, or is there something a little bit deeper that we need to be looking at here? Please continue to share my channel. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. That's going to help me tremendously in terms of the work that I'm trying to do in the future. The more subscribers I have, the better. Like this video, hit that notification bell when you subscribe. Thank you, and I'll see you at the theaters next week.